Welcome back to the GSMC College Football Podcast, presented to you by the GSMC Podcast Network on this Monday, May 19th. Just talked some SEC programs, gave a little bit of a conference primer preview for this upcoming year. Gonna switch gears. We're going to talk a little bit now about some teams that I think are going to outperform their win totals that are projected currently. But before we get into any of that, I want to remind everybody, this show is all about you. We love hearing your comments, your questions, your insights, whatever you got, we want to hear it. We want to make this show as fun, as interactive, as exciting as possible. One easy way to do that is if you're on YouTube, you can use the Super Chat feature. To use the Super Chat feature, all you have to do is click the dollar sign at the bottom of the chat box, type in your message there, send that in, and this guarantees that your message gets on the air, gets read live. It's also just a great way to support our channel and support what we're trying to do here at GSMC. We're so grateful to have all of your support here, and we love just giving you more sports content that you want to hear. Now, let's talk some teams that I think are going to outperform some expectations. So, one program I looked at, and I was really surprised that it was only at 7.5, was the BYU Cougars. So their win total in Vegas right now is set at 7.5 wins. I think this is an easy over. You look at what BYU did last year. You look at what Kalani Sitake has kind of built there in Utah, just throughout the course of his time as a head coach there, taking them from an independent, leading them into this new Big 12 era, and they had a really great season last year. We're in kind of contention throughout the regular season for that Big 12 championship. Kind of fell off at the end of the year, but this is a team, this is a program that's going to be coming back. They return their quarterback, Jake Retzlaff. That's a big win. Anytime you have an experienced quarterback coming back for another year in the system, that's always a bonus. And this is a guy that knows how to play, and he's going to have to improve across the board, but that's kind of the expectation, right, when you come in as a second-year starter. But they know that he's good enough, both with his arm and his legs, to pick up key first downs, can extend plays with his legs on the ground, a guy that gets them some big plays, moves the chains for the BYU program, and there's a lot of good talent around him at the skill positions, especially LJ Martin coming back at running back. Wide receivers Chase Roberts, Parker Kingston are still there to give Jake Retzlaff weapons. And then you have a really big addition at the tight end position in Carson Ryan, transferring from Utah, coming over to the other side of the Holy War. That's going to be a big target for Jake Retzlaff, a guy that he can look at when he needs one of those key plays, when he needs a first down. Maybe he doesn't have to use it all with his legs. He can find his tight end, his safety blanket, his security option in Carson Ryan and get him the ball, make them move the chains, keep that BYU offense on the field. That's going to be a good unit. On defense, you have one of the best linebacker groups in the country coming back, led by Jack Helly and Isaiah Glasker. Those two guys there at linebacker give the BYU defense a lot of experience, a lot of high-quality potential for some big-time plays on defense. And then you look at their actual schedule, right? There are 6 games they're going to have a clear advantage in. They have Portland State. That should be a win. Stanford. I would be very surprised if they lost to Stanford. ECU, okay. Arizona, very winnable. Cincinnati, yep. And UCF. So, if they win all of those games, just the winnable ones, that's 6 wins right there. At that point, they only need 2 more wins in 6 games to beat that win total, to get over 8 wins in the season. And you do have to go to Boulder to play Colorado, but this is a team that they smashed in the Alamo Bowl, right? And a team that is replacing their starting quarterback in Shatter Sanders, replacing almost the irreplaceable Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball, and also losing most of their other receivers as well. So also a winnable game. Yes, you do have to go on the road, but I think they're a better program than Colorado this year. That game may be more of a toss-up than we think, but I think it's still winnable. So say they win that game too. At that point, there's 7 wins in the season. Then you have home games against West Virginia, TCU, Utah. And then you go to Ames, Iowa to play the Cyclones of Iowa State. And you play Texas Tech in Lubbock. Okay. Texas Tech, Iowa State. Those are some tough matchups. I would be kind of surprised if they won both of those games. And then you have West Virginia, TCU, Utah at home. Again, would be surprised if they win both of those, or all 3 of those games. I think they probably lose 2 of those 5 total. But still, that's a 10-win season for BYU. I think they vastly are going to outperform this 7.5 win total. I would be surprised, though, if they do come in under. I just think they're too well coached. They have a manageable enough schedule to easily surpass that 7.5 win margin, that mark. Another team that I was kind of surprised that their total was this low is the Florida Gators. Now, Florida's win total is currently set at 6.5 wins on the season. And I can see why. I'll say that. Their schedule, again, like last year, is absolutely brutal. Features 8 teams that are probably going to be ranked at some point throughout the 2025 season, including both Texas and Georgia. You also have to play a Miami team that they blasted them in the swamp last year. Miami really kind of put the spanking on them. But Miami, they lose Carson Beck. If I was a Gators fan, I would be optimistic about that one. Playing Miami, I think they're a better program, a better talented team this year. And this seems like a really resilient Florida Gator football program. As rough as things kind of got last season at one point, Billy Napier never lost that locker room. He never lost that team. He always had his voice was always there. The guys never tuned him out, and they bounced back. The players played hard for him. They lost in overtime at Tennessee. They were competitive against Georgia, despite having to play a third-string quarterback during that time. And when DJ Lagway came back in the lineup, they beat LSU. They beat Ole Miss at home, who Ole Miss was slotted for the College Football Playoff at that time. They smoked Florida State on the road, and then they beat Tulane in their bowl game. So they came back, had a really nice stretch of wins to end that season, have some forward momentum. And obviously, there's a little bit of a question mark right now around DJ Lagway. Just he had been out all spring. Sounds like he's ready to go, though. He's back to throwing the football. And besides him, there's a lot of talent on this team. Defensively, Tyreek Sapp, one of the best guys on that D-line in college football. A guy that rival coaches have immense respect for, that they game plan around. A big piece of that Florida defense. You have Caleb Bakes right next to him. Their big D tackle. 7 sacks last year. Another kind of headache for opposing coaches to game plan around. Then you have a seasoned offensive line as well, kind of anchored by their center, Jake Slaughter. This is a team, a program that's really exciting. You have a wide receiver room that's a little bit kind of in flux, but some big-time guys there that are coming in. They had a really big freshman wide receiver commit that showed out in the spring game this year. So this is a low win total, right? 6.5 wins. I think they pass it, though. I am a believer in this Florida team. I think they have a lot more talent than people kind of realize. I think last year's schedule kind of muddied the waters on how good Florida actually was last year. All their losses were to top 25 programs. And I think it's fair to expect some inconsistency from Florida this year. They're not going to win all of these games against this slate. I think, though, this group is good enough to win 8 or 9 games at least. Compete, you maybe upset Texas or Georgia. You pull out a really big win. I think that this Florida program can do that this year. I'm high on them. I think they're a lot more talented than they get credit for, and they're more well coached than people give Billy Napier the credit for. But 6.5, it seems low for me. I think Florida goes over. Duke. Now Duke, their win total is set at 5.5 wins this year, and that one really baffled me. Right, This is a program that went 9-4 last season. They won 9 games. And you bring in Darian Mensah at quarterback from Tulane, a guy that's a clear upgrade over Malik Murphy and whoever else they had playing last year. A guy that arrives with a track record of efficiency, of production. Last year in 2024, led Tulane to 9 wins, AAC Conference Championship appearance, and he topped the conference with his almost 67% completion percentage, 9.5 yards per pass attempt, 23 total touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. A guy that has the experience, has the decision-making skills to give Duke kind of a steady presence at quarterback at the most important position on the field. He's a guy that's, his performance has already kind of garnered national attention, and I think he's going to do really well at Duke under Manny Diaz. This upcoming season kind of gives them an opportunity to build on the foundation that they started last year. I don't know if 5.5 wins seems really low for me. I think their combo of kind of stability in coaching as well as that upgrade in Darian Mensah is going to help them. Then you look at the defense. Their defense returned 6 starters from a group that was top 5 nationally in sacks per game, tackles for loss per game, and fumbles recovered last season. So that's a really impressive, pressure-filled front 7 that is going to be still there and still a really solid defense. You have Quishon Braun, who showed up huge in the spring game, had about 6 catches for almost 150 yards, going to be that clear-cut number 1 option, and really showcase chemistry with Darian Mensah, which is something not to be overlooked. But that wide receiver room, that unit, the defense, the addition of Darian Mensah, the presence of Manny Diaz, I think all of those factors will help them. So you do have to go to Clemson, to Syracuse, to Tulane, and to North Carolina. Then you have Georgia Tech and Illinois at home. But I think even if they still have a losing record in those games, I think they still go over 6 wins. I think that's really low for them this year. I see this as more of an 8-9 win Duke team. I think they vastly go over that 5.5 mark, though. And I would not be surprised to see them competing in the ACC this upcoming year. Now, we're going to take another short break on the show. When we come back, we're going to talk about the NFL. Is it a threat to college football playoff scheduling? We're going to discuss it when we come back on the GSMC College Football Podcast.